Hey everyone, it's me, Ari Rashid. I'm an anthropologist and sociologist. Please hit the like button, share this live stream, subscribe to the channel, become a member channel. You can check my novels on Amazon. They are below here, some of them at least. You can check them on Amazon. Thank you very much. And also, please donate the links below. Very much appreciated. Already finished doing another live stream earlier. And okay, why do I do this extra live stream today? Some may say it's my Christmas special over here, but anyway, this live stream is meant as a warning for criminal sympathy rituals. Oh, by the way, let me first check if the audio is working. My bad. Let me check if the audio is working. Mm, hold on. Hold on. Okay. You should be able to hear me clearly. Okay, that's good. Some of you may come from the previous live I did. I finished less than half hour ago. Some people may still be watching replay on my previous live stream, so they're not here now. I don't mind. I'm doing this live stream because it's necessary to warn people about this. And okay, let me put this somewhere over there. Okay, okay, let's see if okay, the audio is still working. Okay, that's good. Listen, in one of my previous live streams, I did about cold cases. I explained that when it comes to crime, there are two types of crime. Just people, bad things happening, situations escalating, whether it's a robbery or whatever, or lust goes too far, people and someone ends up stalking ex-girlfriend, raping her, killing her, whatever. So, or a guy being shot during a robbery and dies. So you have just crime, horrible things happening because people's desires get out of hand. But you also have crime rituals. A crime ritual is a crime committed as a ritual for the public. And a crime ritual, it can involve law enforcement itself and the government, but that's not always the case. Okay, a crime ritual is when the population has some scandal that they want to hide, something they don't want to be called out upon, and now they do this crime ritual to preserve their good looks to the outside world. And there are two types of crime rituals. You have silencing rituals and sympathy rituals. Now, a silencing ritual is obvious. You either um, injure someone or kill someone so that they shut their mouth. And by doing that, others get the warning. If you open your mouth about this, the same can happen to you. Injure can also mean put them in prison for calling things out, because freedom of speech is not guaranteed everywhere on the earth. So that's a sympathy. That's a not sympathy. That's a silencing ritual. A sympathy ritual is when the public's reputation of location is at stake, and you want to salvage reputation of the public by orchestrating a tragedy in which someone actually is injured or killed. And now this tragedy, you broadcast it as far as you can in a ritual way, and with the aid of evil spirits, you generate sympathy from the public towards the local place. And because of that sympathy, people now are emotionally blackmailed not to question that place. That is a sympathy ritual. Let me explain one more time. A criminal sympathy ritual is when a crime is committed as a ritual with the aim to generate sympathy for the local public. You orchestrate this tragedy in which someone actually dies or is injured, just to, and with the aid of evil spirits through the numerology, gematria, or whatever spell binding they're using, they're now blackmailing the wider public to feel sorry for the locals and do not question them. Hope this is clear to you now. So, about sympathy rituals, about those criminal sympathy rituals, they're common, more common than you realize. And the main victims of these sympathy rituals are often women. Women psychologically tend to trigger sympathy quicker than men, unless it's a little boy, then it's not a man, just a little boy. But women and children tend to trigger more sympathy in general than a grown man. And don't ask me why right now, because it's not relevant for now, except that it's something psychological about us human beings. Women, get reminded of our mothers, children, we're old children. Okay, men, some men are horrible as authority figures, so we're more able to resist that. But anyway, it's not only women who are the victims of sympathy rituals. Men can be victimized too. However, a sympathy ritual works much easier and is much more effective with a woman as a victim. So again, I'm going to ask all of you who's here to type in the live chat what a sympathy ritual is. Type in your own words what a sympathy ritual is. I've explained it also in previous live streams. Tell me now in the live chat briefly, what is a criminal sympathy ritual? Let me know in the live chat. If you're in traffic, pay attention to the road. If you're not in traffic, please answer. I'll wait for 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Write in the live chat, write in the live chat, answer this question, what is a sympathy ritual? I'm looking forward to your answers. One more minute, then I'll continue. I just want to check how far advanced your knowledge is. Hold on. Well, 50 seconds more. All right, I got one answer over here from Dion. To gain the sympathy of a community to cover up a scandal taboo. Absolutely, that's the purpose of a sympathy ritual indeed. Okay? Now, are there sympathy rituals that are not criminal? They do exist. But when you talk about a sympathy ritual, 9 out of 10 times you talk about a criminal sympathy ritual. That is when a tragedy is orchestrated with a sole purpose to cover up some scandal of the local community. And the way you cover scandals is by triggering sympathy from the wider public. Now, a criminal sympathy ritual will not work if the scandal is out there for everyone and everyone knows about it. A criminal sympathy ritual only works if the scandal is still somewhat hidden. And that's why to do the criminal sympathy ritual is to trigger the wider attention of the public on the tragedy so nobody pays attention to anything beyond the tragedy. For example, let's say a 5-year-old girl goes missing and later she's found dead. Okay, that's a horrible tragedy. A child has been killed. Now, if this happens in a neighborhood, and then a news report begins to talk about, there's a lot of drug dealing in this neighborhood, and there's a lot of prostitution here, people are more likely to attack that news report saying, listen, a child was murdered over here. Okay, there's a creep walking around. Okay, the police can deal with the prostitution and the drugs, all of that. Show some manners, man. Because people now shocked by the fact that child was murdered now, they will associate that whole community, that whole block, that whole neighborhood as a victim of this crime, and just the parents. So the whole block there will be seen as a victim of this horrible act. And because of this, people will be more reluctant to call things out. They don't end up. They may see them without calling out. And because people don't look deeper into it, the actual scandal is left out of sight. Now, a criminal sympathy ritual is not permanent. Okay? If, for example, a cult decides to kill a child, orchestrate this tragedy, just to trigger sympathy for the wider public, because it's a child, for the next 4 to 5 years, people may not look deeper into it. It's like, hey, think about the parents, think about this and that. But after 5 years, often the public will think, hold on a minute, it's been 5 years already. Um, did they catch the guy? Okay, if they catch the guy, okay, we can now process and move on. If we haven't catch the guy, why still a cold case? Okay. Um, Sometimes a sympathy ritual is followed by someone being framed for the crime. By framing someone for the crime, they can show the success of law enforcement, so-called success, and people now can continue like nothing happened. And what's also case that the actual scandal they want to hide is still hidden, and nobody pays attention anymore. Sometimes the sympathy ritual remains open, that it becomes a cold case. And now, as a cold case, from time to time, they will call attention for it to kind of renew the spell on the public. So, sympathy rituals are actual tragedies conducted by cults with assistance of the local population. It doesn't mean everyone that lives there is in on it, but a big portion of the locals are in on it. So, criminal sympathy rituals are tragedies enacted by cults with assistance of local population, and these crimes aim to cover up their local scandals to make sure the reputation remains intact. And because it's a ritual, not always, but often it does happen that even the local government can be involved. I'm not saying the national government, the local government may be involved. All right. So I'm about to share my screen now with you. I just typed into Google search "miss woman went missing." Okay, and I took out a few results. Now, this disappearance I already addressed on my channel a while ago. The disappearance of Amy Lynn Bradley. She disappeared around Curacao, my birth island, in 1998. Okay. Well, this more recent case from the 9th of October of this year, 2024. I haven't read this yet. This website talks that brings attention to indigenous American women who often go missing or are killed, whatever. So this is another case about some British woman. She has a Polish last name, but she doesn't speak Polish. Who also went missing, and there's about two bodies being found of these two missing women. So that's all another case. Um, and there's another case also. Now, why did I put all these cases over here? First of all, I cannot confirm if each of these cases is a criminal sympathy ritual, but that's why we're going to look at it. Now, as refresher to all of you who are here, what is the main purpose of a sympathy ritual? Aaron, Aaron is here, okay? Aaron, what is the main purpose of a criminal sympathy ritual? I also explained in a previous live stream, you were there too. So, what is the main purpose of it? Anyone else wants to respond, you can do it too. I just want to remind for you, what is the main purpose of a sympathy ritual, a criminal sympathy ritual? Let me know in the live chat now, please. Thank you. God is good. God is good all the time. By the way, After this live stream, I'll need to use other methods to do live streams because I'm almost out of my hours with StreamYard now. And okay, but Anna said to garner sympathy from the public for the purpose of achieving political aims. Yes, yes. Again, it is political to begin with because it's scandal they want to keep hitting. Okay, so right now let's look at this case over here. Okay, and I want you all to think with me while we read this on the BBC. Okay, because remember how media presents things is also political often. All right. So okay, let's read. Missing woman may have gone into river. Police. The 9th of October 2024. Um, there is a significant possibility missing woman Victoria Taylor went into the river Derwent, according to police searching for her. Miss Taylor, 34, went missing 9 days ago from her home in Norton Malton, with search operations launched by emergency services and volunteers. CCTV footage showed her heading towards a riverside playground on the 3rd of September, North Yorkshire Police said, with items belonging to her found at location. Souped Fiona Wiley told a press conference, based on discovering Victoria's belongings so close to the water's edge, we must accept the significant possibility that Victoria has entered the river Derwent. During the briefing on the Wednesday afternoon, I suppose that they were hanging out for information, Souped Wiley, I don't know how to pronounce this, said no indication of any third-party involvement in care home nurse Miss Taylor's disappearance had been established. So now they're actually heading towards saying this was a suicide or an accident. As with any investigation, we're very open-minded and will continue to explore all lines of inquiry, she said. Teams are conducting searches both above and below the water surface for the mom, who has a young child, with experts using special sonar equipment. This search is slow and complex, and the team are working methodically in very difficult conditions. The use of these specialist resources will continue in the coming days, and we are very much supported in this work on a national level by police and advisors, she added. Okay, there's this whole press over there. The rain stopped in time for the briefing of this afternoon, but it's obvious that search conditions remain very difficult here. The river is right in front of us and is swollen and fast flowing. But this huge operation continues with people using special sonar equipment and underwater cameras to search below the surface. It's hard to imagine how Victoria's friends and family are coping after 9 days of this. We hear today that they were suffering an unimaginable levels of distress and that specialist officers were supporting them. Misinformation causing anguish. A CCTV image showing Miss Taylor, who's originally from Huddersfield in West Yorkshire, was snapped at Malton bus station at 11:53 BST. Well, that's a time zone. On the day she vanished. In the image, she was wearing a camouflage green cap as well as light blue jeans and white trainers. She was also carrying a rucksack. Before then, she was captured on the camera at 11:35 BST at a bridge patrol garage on Welham Road in the northern area of the town. Okay, here's CCTV footage over here. Miss Taylor's family had been caused unnecessary anguish following a small amount of misinformation and speculation on social media. Dawes told the media at the briefing on the riverbank. The media had the family made it clear that it would only want to work with North Yorkshire Police. Anyone with information can contact North Yorkshire Police. Okay. Okay. What do you guys think? Does this seem like a criminal sympathy ritual to you? If yes, elaborate. If not, elaborate also. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Okay, I'm going to wait for 2 minutes for you all to write your thoughts down in the live chat. Thank you. What do you think about this? Do you think this is a criminal sympathy ritual? I'll be right back in 2 minutes. All right. You can still hear me? Okay, that's good. Aaron says, yes, I see appeals to sympathy here. She's a young mom and working class woman. I don't see evidence of her being silenced for anything. Well, that's true. I agree with you fully, Aaron. Um, yeah, I'm not sure if she's a single mom or if her partner is around, but I don't see any reason to think she's being silenced or whatever also. What does the rest think? Hmm. Now, again, we cannot confirm without a reasonable doubt that this is a sympathy ritual. However, the way it's presented to the wider public, it is there. It kind of, the last part of the article. Um, let's go there again. Um, Here it says misinformation causing anguish. Okay, unnecessary anguish following a small amount of misinformation, speculation on social media. Now, first of all, if something happens like this, of course the public is going to speculate. That's to be expected. Okay, if something goes wrong in the community, people will want to know why it happened. So by stating it like this, they're actually saying that they don't want to hear anyone except the police about this case. If you have information, go to the police. So who are they verifying here? The local authorities. So let's say now anyone out there, even locals, pick up something's wrong about this case, or they don't want to hear it. So it seems like they want to shut up everyone who's not there to show sympathy to the locals, including the family, and working in giving relief to the locals. That's what it sounds like. But anyway, let's pray and hope this case is resolved as soon as possible. Maybe it's already resolved, I don't know. Um, Let me look. Maybe this resolved. Okay, according to this, she drowned. Okay, so so it could be it was just an accidental drowning. That's possible. Okay, and because this article was on the 9th of October, this here from 7th of November, so it's within a month. But anyway, um, we're just using cases to the public for this live stream. Again, I'm not saying it was simply criminal sympathy ritual. It could easily been just accidental drawing. It's just a bit weird how the case was presented to the public like that. But anyway, um, let's move further. Um, okay, this is another case I found here. So let's look at this case together. By the way, I'm not sure if the case already resolved, but if already resolved, it's resolved. Okay, she was found safe and sound. Okay, that is good. So we can skip that one. That's good. Just understand one thing. Not every tragedy happening out there involving women is a criminal sympathy ritual. Absolutely not. Hell no. Just know you need to keep the possibility open that it may be a ritual. Okay, so let's look at this case over here. It's from April the 16th, 2024, it's a bit while ago. So okay, but before I continue, are there any questions about this topic? I'm not done yet. I'm still continuing, but before I continue further, are there other questions up till now about the topic? Let me know in the live chat. Okay, it's a question over here. And us, it looks like normal crimes can happen that are then turned into rituals or leveraged some way for such purposes. Okay, let's say now a random crime happens. Okay, can a random crime suddenly be used in a ritual way? That's true. But using a tragedy like that as a ritual afterwards is a bit more difficult and complicated. Why? Because you don't control the actual narrative. Something bad happens, and now you want to come up with a narrative to trigger people. Folks are going to notice that this narrative came out of nowhere. It's much easier to actually do the crime yourself in a ritual way, because then you have full leverage on how the story is told, how people perceive it, and you can bypass people's attention from the actual thing you're hiding. Okay? So okay, let's read this. This is from the United States. Two bodies found in Oklahoma on Sunday have been identified by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner as two women who had been missing, the State Bureau of Investigation said Tuesday. Veronica Butler, 27, and Gillian Kelly, 39, were riding together to pick up Butler's children when they disappeared, according to an endangered missing advisory from the Texas County Sheriff's Office in Oklahoma late last month. Okay, four people have been charged with felonies, including murder in the case. Ted, Ted Burt Cullum, 43, Tiffany McCall Adams, 54, Cole Earl Twombly, 50, and Cora Gail Twombly, 44. Each have been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder by arranging and planning and deliberate, intentional, and unlawful take away the life of Veronica Butler and or Gillian Kelly. CNN has made attempts to determine whether the defendants have legal representation. Records do not indicate counsel has been obtained. The defendants are scheduled to make their first court appearances Wednesday morning, per court documents. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation said on Facebook its thoughts and prayers are with their loved ones, along with everyone throughout their community. Victim was on trip for visit with children who were center of custody battle. According to an affidavit of probable cause for an arrest warrant, Butler was in a custody battle with Adams, who is the grandmother of Butler's children. Butler was allowed to weekly visit the children, and Kelly was traveling with her on March 30 as a court-approved supervisor. They were going to attend a birthday party, but they never made to the event, the court documents say. Butler's family located Butler's abandoned vehicle in a rural area of Texas County near the Kansas-Oklahoma border and called police, the documents show. An examination of the vehicle and area surrounding the vehicle found evidence of a severe injury. Blood was found on the roadway and the edge of the roadway. Butler's glasses were also found in the roadway side of the vehicle, near a broken hammer. A pistol magazine was found inside Kelly's purse at the scene, but no pistol was found, the affidavit states. These are the defendants who have been arrested over here. Butler and Kelly's phones were actually sending signals to their carriers until about 9:42 a.m. and then stopped transmitting. The probable cause documents state the phones have not been recovered, according to the documents. Okay, in this case, these women have been murdered. They already found possible suspects. One thing about the United States is when you're a suspect, they show your full face. What if you end up being innocent? Now you have this association with you. The United States really need to watch out with that. But anyway, I don't see the United States changing their attitude about this anytime soon. So, in this situation, these women were murdered, and quickly law enforcement found suspects. Now, again, and I'm not sure if they're convicted by now, maybe they are, maybe they're not, but based on what we see over here, um, they got people very quickly. Now, let's read further. State investigators extracted information from Adams' phone that showed web searches for taser pain level gun shops, prepared cellular phones, and how to get someone out of their house. The probable cause documents show Adams also purchased 5 stun guns and 3 prepaid cellular phones in the months and days leading to the disappearance of Butler and Kelly, according to the documents. Some details missing in the probable cause document are whether the bodies of Butler and Kelly have been recovered and how they were allegedly killed. All 4 defendants are described as being part of an anti-government group that had a religious affiliation, called God's Misfits, that met weekly, sometimes at Tomley's residence, according to statements made to investigators by the Cora Gill Tomley's teenage daughter and recorded in the probable cause documents. The daughter told investigators the defendants made other attempts to kill Butler in February, the probable cause document stated. Okay. What is a bit suspicious about this case? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know. Again, there are no wrong answers over here. Anything you notice suspicious about this case? There are a few things I've noticed, but I want to see if you all notice it too. Okay, the web search. Okay, that's true. Okay, anyone else? Thing is, when people read an article like this, a lot of people see the face of the victims. They're women, relatively young. One of them was a mother with children, so people are emotion triggered, and then they see the mugshots of the perpetrators. They feel horror towards them, and they now are in an emotional loop, and they miss out on other details that may not be consistent with the story. Anyone? You know what, let me just say it. All 4 defendants are described as being part of an anti-government group that had a religious affiliation called God's Misfits. They met weekly. Hold on a minute. What does the political stance of defendants have to do with them murdering these 2 women? If they murder the women for political motives, then they're homegrown terrorists. I call them terrorists. Simple as that. Why mention this? So actually, they're actually stating that this was a cult doing it. That's actually what they're saying over here. Let me see if there's a follow-up with this case. Let me see if there's been a follow-up. Mm, no, I don't see any. I don't know if this one is a good source or not, but anyway, let's keep it at this one over here. What you can get from this is that these 2 women were targeted by a group that was against the government. So it is also called the targeting. But now, what is the consequence of targeting these two women? Sympathy is generated to the locals because the locals have to miss two women. They're now children without a mom and all that. And now attention is drawn away from any other inconsistency or scandal that's going on locally. Now, a criminal sympathy ritual, the whole purpose is to generate the sympathy to cover up the scandal. So a criminal sympathy ritual is a political move to begin with. And sometimes the perpetrators don't even care if they're caught or not. They believe so much in their cause that they're willing to do it. And sometimes the actual perpetrators are working for a cult behind the scenes who orders the killings, and they're willing to be so-called good soldiers, end up in prison or whatever. There are people willing to go that far. So, yeah, this is a good example of a criminal sympathy ritual. Because anyone doing any inquiry into the lives of the locals over there and finding out anything that really doesn't add up, they will say, hey, leave these people alone. Give them some privacy. Don't you see they're going through a lot right now? Have some manners, whatever. Look at the police. The police already caught them. The problem solved. God is good. By the way, does any of you does any one of you in the live chat now know of any case in your area or any case in your country that now you think about it may have been a criminal sympathy ritual? If you do, mention the case in the live chat. Meanwhile, I'm going to look at this case over here, which I already discussed on my channel a while ago. Okay, but it's just I want to put a few things onto you. Okay, the disappearance of Amy Lynn Bradley. You know what? Let me see if I can find some news articles about it. Maybe it's an update about the case. I don't know. It's from the government. International cruise victims. Okay. This is from the FBI, and there's a $25,000 reward for it. Oh, let's read it over here. Amy Lynn Bradley, while on a family cruise to the Caribbean, went missing from the Royal Caribbean International Cruise Line ship Rhapsody of the Seas. On Saturday, March 21st, 1998, the vessel departed from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and traveled to its first port of call, the island of Aruba. On Monday, March 23rd, 1998, Rhapsody of the Seas departed to Aruba and was traveling in international waters to its next island port of Curacao, Netherlands Antilles. By the way, Netherlands Antilles doesn't exist anymore. It's been abolished in 2010. Okay, Curacao is an autonomous country now, together as well as Aruba in the Dutch Kingdom, just so you know. Anyway, during the early morning hours of Tuesday, March 24, 1998, Amy Lynn Bradley went missing. The vessel later departed Curacao and continued on to the island of St. Martin, Dutch St. Martin, and further traveled to St. Thomas, United States Virgin Islands, before returning to San Juan, Puerto Rico on Saturday, March 28, 1998. Okay, they don't give much information. This is an impression how she may look like right now. Well, of course, they don't know. And the thing is, this I mentioned before in my live stream that I did about this case a while ago. This woman was a bit hesitant in joining this cruise trip with her family, but she went anyway, and now she ended up missing. So her gut feeling was telling her, okay, maybe it's not a good idea. You know what, people? Not sometimes, you have to pay attention to your gut feeling, please. Now, decades later, the case still triggers attention from people. Now, you may ask, Rashid, you think this was a sympathy ritual? Likely it was. Because think about it, you have this American woman, European descent, going missing in the Caribbean, and who gets sympathy? Her American family. The American public can identify in her. 1998, that was. Was there no financial crisis emerging in the late 1990s? So I'm not sure. Could be. And the sympathy could also work in this way because it seems like she went missing on Curacao, but no trace was found on Curacao. But at the same time, some scandals of Curacao came to the light that made Curacao look bad. So I don't suspect it was a um, criminal sympathy ritual from people from Curacao because if that was the case, it backfired. It could be. There are also people that claim she was cited later on, that she was human trafficked and all of that. Either way, we don't know. Likely, even if it was the case, I don't think it will come out. But just know that often these missing persons cases, especially when it relates to women, are sympathy rituals, criminal sympathy rituals. Okay, Aaron mentioned one case, Sarah Everett. I don't remember the case very well, but remember the public outrage and backlash. Okay, that's interesting. Let's go and look for that case. Sarah. Mm, okay, let me look for a good English. Okay. So let's read the BBC. By the way, thanks for mentioning the case, Aaron. Sarah Everett. BBC documentary recalls police learning killer was Met officer. Okay, this is her. She was 33 years old. Okay, the detective who led the Sarah Everett murder inquiry has told the BBC about the moment she found out killer Wayne Cousins was a police officer. Miss Everett, 33, was abducted, raped, and murdered by serving Metropolitan Police Officer Cousins as she walked home in London 2021. Detective, my God, I'm not going to try. Detective Chief's Inspector, oh, I get it right. Detective Chief Inspector Catherine Goodwin tells of the shock of telling her boss, "You're not going to believe this." She made the comments in a new BBC documentary that will air on Tuesday. Of course, this already happens. Okay. It is being shown days after the third anniversary of Miss Everett's death. The detective recounted how officers had traced a name linked to a car seen in CCTV footage. The footage showed a man standing with Miss Everett next to a vehicle in Clapham, where she has been walking. It is the first time that Detective Chief Inspector Goodwin has spoken on camera about the case. Thanks for clarifying, Aaron. Thanks for clarifying it. Okay. You know what? Let me share the whole screen. Um, so we can hear this little short clip over here. I think that's interesting too. Okay, let's play the audio.
Whilst Nick and his team were running on blue lights to get some control of the address, one of my detective sergeants came running into the office and said, "We need to shut the door. You need to hear this." He then put one of our researchers on speakerphone, and she said, "He's a police officer. He's a serving officer in the Met. He currently works for the Parliamentary and Diplomatic Protection Group. I knew that I had to tell my boss, and I can just remember the shock of having to just sit on the floor of the office and say to her, "You're not going to believe this, that he's a police officer." And then the same questions went through her head as went through my head. Are you sure?
Okay, are you sure? Okay, let me there's a question over here. So if European women are used for sympathy rituals for white supremacy, are black women used for sympathy rituals, political criminal? I may be out of line for questioning. No, you're not. Listen, a sympathy ritual is not related to race or ethnic background. It's all about what works. Okay? If you are in Britain and there's a place in Britain where there's scandals going on and you want to keep it hidden, you use a woman that looks like a common British woman. So in this case, it would be a European woman you use then for sympathy ritual. If you are in Kenya and some scandal going on over there, you're not going to use a European woman because the common individual there is not a European. So they will not identify directly with an individual. But you may use just a random dark-skinned African woman for sympathy ritual because a lot of people can identify in her. If it's in Japan or Korea, and if you're in a place where there are a lot of foreigners, okay, then you can use, in this case, a European woman or an African woman or a Hispanic woman for a sympathy ritual because it will also have international reach. But if you don't want international reach, you just want local sympathy, use a woman that looks like the locals over there. I hope I answer your question, Diane. No, I believe you. Nobody is meant to be harmed. Nobody should be harmed. Absolutely not. Aaron, I'm going to look it up. Absolutely. Hold on. As a matter of fact, let me do that immediately. Sarah Everett facial protest. Okay, let me look it up. Okay, I'm about to share my screen again. Share screen. Okay. Okay, we see here the Guardian. Okay, we're going to use those two. Okay, let me just go first to Met police pay damages to women arrested at Sarah Everett's vigil. Apology and substantial payout to Patsy Stevenson and Dania Al-Obeid mark major climb down after years of legal battles. Scotland Yard has apologized and paid substantial damages to two women arrested during the vigil for Sarah Everett in a major climb down following years of legal battles over the policing of the event. In a move that the new Metropolitan Police Commissioner Mark Rowley will hope draws a line under one of the darkest periods of the Met's recent history, the force acknowledged that it was understandably that Patsy Stevenson and Dania Al-Obeid had wanted to attend a candlelit vigil at Clapham Common because they felt women had been badly let down. The women told The Guardian the apology had been hard-won and was welcome, but vowed to continue to speak up about police abuse and fight for better policing of violence against women and girls. The women both attended a vigil for Everett, who was kidnapped, raped, and murdered by a serving Metropolitan Police officer in March 2021, when COVID restrictions on large gatherings were in place. The image of Stevenson being pinned to the floor by officers as she was arrested sparked widespread fury and distrust amongst women, while the Met's actions at the vigil saw it and its then commissioner, Cressida Dick, widely criticized. A 2021 police inspector review into the event called the Met's conduct absolutely right. Oh, so first, back then they justified their own behavior. Okay. The pair launched legal claims against the Met under the Human Rights Act after prosecutors halted attempts by the Met to bring prosecution against them and for others. Wow. On Wednesday, Stevenson expressed relief that this chapter of the tiring fight was over, but said that while the apology was welcome, it was half-arsed She added that the controversial Public Order Act had further eroded and undermined citizens' fundamental right to protest. Okay, so okay, this is a bit interesting. But before I continue over here, let me see. Let's just over here the chat. Clapham Common visual took place in extraordinary circumstances. We tried to achieve a balance that recognized the rights of the public to protest and express the grief and sadness, while also containing to enforce the relevant COVID legislation. Nah, let's go over here. So what it comes down to is that there was a demonstration about what's going on. And now I'm not saying that this her arrest over here was part of the ritual. No. This arrest actually something went too far. And it actually, let me say, the sympathy ritual backfired. Because now they had to openly admit that there was, I would say, mishandling and there were things off with the local law enforcement. I mean, in this case, there was sympathy for the woman who was murdered, absolutely. When it came out it was the police officer who did it, the public was outraged. So that became the focus of the public now. And now, you know what? Let me take that back. It could be, I'm not saying it is, it could be that some of these police officers on purpose use police brutality, knowing it would go mainstream. And by doing that, they did a second sympathy ritual. Because again, first, it was the actual murder victim that triggered sympathy. And now it's two other women that trigger sympathy again. So you have two incidents of violence that triggers big sympathy for the public. But my question is, has anything been resolved right now? Has anything been resolved? Let me know in the live chat. What do you think? Are women safer in Britain? Has the culture improved how men and women treat one another? Are women better protected? Has anything been resolved? Well, no. Nothing's been resolved. So, these two incidents, as you can see, were sympathy rituals. And now, the public, remember, it happened during the pandemic, during the global health crisis. And governments back then went too far with their measures during the global health crisis. Okay? They went too far with a lot of the lockdowns and things they were doing. And behind, there were also a lot of political scandals going on around the same time. So now that there was a global health crisis and people were losing their mind about it, you had this happening that dropped people's attention away from the actual scandals. And you had a second incident that led to an extension of the sympathy spell. Now, again, I'm not saying these two women are involved. They were just used as targets to into this sympathy ritual. Well, shout out to them that they fought the legal battle and they won. But again, nothing has been resolved until now. So listen up. Not every crime that happens out there is a crime ritual. If it is a crime ritual, it's either a silencing ritual that often happens to men, or it can be a sympathy ritual, which often happens to women and children, sometimes also men or the groups of people. I hope this live stream has shown you what to look out for when there's a sympathy ritual going on, how to identify it, and listen, ladies, beware. In this case, these women went to a march, went to a vigil. Not a march, a vigil, my bad. They went to a vigil, and the police turned her off on them. What if the police brutality was so hard that they became injured for life, end up in a wheelchair, or even dead? Yeah, the ritual would have succeeded, but you're still damaged now, or you've passed away. Look, anytime there is suspicious silence in a community, that means that something came out people don't want to come out. And once there's suspicious silence in the community, know that there's going to be a backlash against whatever came out. So criminal sympathy rituals maybe what's going to happen next. So I'm not telling you to be suspicious about everyone and be paranoid or something like that. Just pay attention to the timing in your community. I'm not telling you to be all into mainstream media all the time, no, but from time to time, check the news, check the newspaper, or go on social media apps like Telegram or um, maybe Telegram is forbidden in your country, or go on social media sometime to see what goes on out there. I'm not telling you to be active on social media and all that, but just go out there sometimes, see what goes on. Be sensitive so that you know what goes on around you. If you notice that there's suspicious silence or there's some type of scandal going on, know that symptom rituals may happen. So if you're a woman, just make sure you remain alert, prayerful, prayed up, so you will not become a target. Did the police car just went by? I don't know. Maybe it's an ambulance. I don't know. Is this all clear to you? Let me know in the live chat. Any questions about this topic? Hmm. And by the way, I'm not saying that every time there's a symptom ritual that that there are government officials like law enforcement involved. Often they're not, okay, but sometimes they are, okay, and if they are involved, they sometimes act on their own. So it's not always some giant conspiracy from the top, whatever. Just know sympathy, criminal sympathy rituals happen, okay. How to prevent being a target? Just walk by faith, stay alert, stay watchful, and get out of bad situations as soon as possible. And ladies, beware with suspicious people approaching you, want to have small talk with you. Not run with small talk with people, even strangers on the street or whatever. Not run with small talk when you're in public with other people, but beware with suspicious small talk. That's what I'm telling you. Beware with it. For those who are below 18, especially if you're below age 12, whatever, if any adult approaches you and they have weird questions, excuse yourself, leave, call the adult immediately or call 911. Just do that. Okay. Okay, you have a question, Aaron? Just ask it. Okay? I'm here for you guys. Hold on. Okay. Simple rituals from small groups like the cult. Okay, what's your actual question, Aaron? Yes. So not always from organization power like governments or big conglomerates. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, it is quite dangerous and risky for a national government or a state government to be involved in criminal sympathy rituals. Big conglomerates may do it, but it's a high probability of it failing. Why? Because you need to have a local context to trigger it. And if a big conglomerate has a scandal, they can do criminal sympathy rituals too. But again, because it's not local, it's going to be more difficult. So your question is, how do they differ? And how do we notice them clearly? Okay, I'm going to talk about that. Hold on a minute. Okay, how do they differ? Let's say, for example, that Microsoft or Apple has some scandals going on. Okay, now they're active multinationally in multiple countries. Let's say now that Apple has a scandal going on in Mexico, like they exploited workers or whatever. What can happen is that you may have some warlocks working at Apple who said, boss, we got this, don't worry. And the warlocks were also part of some local cult over there in Mexico. They now contact some Mexican drug cartel, and together with the Mexican drug cartel, they may kidnap a few women, a few college students, rape and kill them, spread them the footage over the dark web and social media. And then, because these college students had iPhones, um, the warlocks will collaborate with the police to locate the bodies and say, go to the search option of the iPhone, we're able to find these women. So, in this case, they put Apple in a positive daylight. Apple technology helped police solve the crime, and there's a lot of sympathy for these women that were brutalized and killed by the local drug cartel. So, people are going to be upset with the Mexican drug cartel. People may look bad at Mexico. Oh my God, women are safe in Mexico. And what's happening now? Attention shifts away from the scandal Apple was involved in, namely not paying the workers properly. That's how it works with a conglomerate or a big corporation. That's how they may do it. But again, it's quite risky because they need to involve themselves with multiple factors. Um, so in this case, if Apple was involved in such a scandal, the warlocks that work at Apple still have to contact a local cult or a local organization. But let's say now there's no conglomerate anything involved. Let's say that there's a lot of child abuse happening in a city somewhere in Brazil. And now that city has a lot of youth crime. A lot of young men lose their mind and commit crime because they cannot handle being abused so much by their parents. And the thing is, if you would lock up all these young men committing all this crime, you would have to lock up tens of thousands of young men, and there's a big part of the population. And now the prisons get overfull, and people are going to ask questions: why are so many of the men going to prison? And then you have a lack of workers actually do work in over there. So they can't afford to lock up all these young criminals, but they do want the crime to stop. What do you do now? Locally, there may be some Santeria cult or whatever over there that says, you know what? These men have a lot of these men have a lot of sympathy for their mothers. You know what? Let's take a mother with young children, make them go missing. The bodies are found later on in horrible conditions, and let's ask the people in the city to help solve the case. Now, a lot of these young men who otherwise will be taking out the anger of the local community for allowing them to be abused are now so sympathetic the towards the relatives of the mother who was killed together with the children, and now people forget about all the child abuse and we forget about the fact a lot of the men there are mentally ill due to child abuse. That's how it would work locally. Did I answer your question, Aaron? Does that answer your question? Okay, and Dion asked, that is what I was getting ready to ask about the wizards and warlocks in the community. They select a sacrifice, basically. Yes, they do. The Netherlands itself has many criminal sympathy rituals, many of them. And I have not seen any Dutch YouTuber besides me actually calling out criminal sympathy rituals. I hope they will arrive because they need to be addressed over here. And for legal purposes, I'll say alleged. Okay. If that just because I'm convinced doesn't mean it is like that. I may be wrong. But Dutch cold case like Tonya Groen, for example, that seems like an actual sympathy ritual to me. And there was another cold case came out about a woman whose last name was Hendricks, I believe. Her body was found in Belgium. If I'm not wrong, that's a sympathy ritual too. Sympathy rituals are common in the Netherlands. Way too common. Yeah, because there are way too many scandals happening here too that are not addressed. That's why. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. No. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for being patient, watching the second live stream. Aaron, I'm about to contact you afterwards to so check your social media. I'm about to message you. For the rest of you, keep agreeing with Christ, and I'll see you next live stream. Keep your eyes open. Hold on a minute. One more question. So basically, we are not safe working for any company outside the protection of Christ and shutting down this type of violence. Absolutely, you're not. So keep walking by faith. Okay? Be at peace.